Hello, welcome to Midnight Graveyard.
Welcome.
Grab a drink, settle in
Get spooky.
to discuss Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2. We watched both.
Mm-hmm. Boobs. If you are interested
Yeah.
in seeing some ridiculous nudity, Slumber Party 1 is going to be the film for you. Lots of teenage sex.
Really, one's the one to watch for all of the reasons. The second one is...
Watch it because it exists.
It's like, watch it with the mind that it's bad, and maybe you can laugh at how bad it is, in my opinion. That it's that not good.
Yes. So it's a slasher, and the first one is, high school teen girls going to have a slumber party.
Pretty standard fare for your slasher, but it was one of the first, right?
I think so. The boys are intrigued at what's going to happen at this slumber party. So they come over unannounced and uninvited, and they spy.
Sort of a Porky's situation there.
And they spy and get, to see some,
pillow fights and ridiculous stuff.
Sexy, fun things. All the girls have done it,
But it was actually kind of a thinky.
I think that there was intention behind it, right?
Yeah.
So the killer is an escaped mental patient.
Yeah.
And you are introduced to him in the beginning briefly before you see the main plot. So it kind of reminded me of Halloween in the setup of that. You get kind of this separate, isolated kill that happens before you then see the main people.
Right, the main characters that you've been following.
Yeah. And so it's a male.
His weapon.
His weapon is his big, strong.
It's a giant drill. It's a giant. He kills people. He drills them to death.
The women to death. He also tells them things like, "You're all really pretty."
Oh yeah, it's.
You're gonna like this.
Yeah, some of it's a little bit. I don't know.
Sick. It is sick.
Yeah, that, but ham-fisted, I think.
What's that mean?
On the nose.
Oh, okay.
Like that sort of, just too obvious, I guess.
Cringe.
Yeah, a little bit oh, really?
Some, good old 80s gender stereotypes and gender thinking. Yeah, obviously there's pretty not cool girls that aren't invited, but they are curious, and there's the little sister that's begging to go to the slumber party anyway. And they hear something, right? They hear noise and they end up going to check it out.
I mean, that happens a bunch, right? I think so. I don't remember specifically the scene that you're referring to.
They leave their house because they're not at the slumber party. So they leave their house and go, it's all in the same neighborhood, and they go down the block to the house.
Another
where the
thing
slumber party is.
Halloween.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I think I heard something.
Oh yeah, that too.
Let me go check it out.
But yeah, a lot of those sort of classic slasher things. It's kind of cool to see them in one of the older films that I haven't seen before.
Yeah, I never saw these.
It's earlier than Halloween, right? This came out in 1972.
Did it?
The first one? I thought so, but I could be wrong.
I don't know, actually. You could be right. I thought it was not in the 70s. I thought it was later.
I thought the first one was early, but
we'll check on that.
I mean, yeah.
But definitely this concept of sex, right? So you're bombarded with the sexual acts of these teenagers. The girls are interested, the boys are interested, and it's immature and silly and goofy and messy. But then there's still some girls that are maybe curious about sex, but they're the virgin. They haven't had sex yet. So there's that like whole like virgin and like pure dichotomy too. And it's like all the scenes were drawn out just a bit to like lure you into the absurdity of it. I don't know what it was like when people saw this, like when it was actually released. I'd be curious what people thought then versus what we think now watching it.
Yeah.
It's not that it was awful, it just had such extreme stereotypes of what girls do at the slumber party. Like there was so much sex to it.
Right.
That it wasn't clear if it was intentionally that to be ridiculous and send other messaging, or if it was that because that was what they wanted to capture. Is how I felt.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing was like a pretty clever allegory for like predatory behavior from men, and how like you're asking for it kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, the fact that like the person that they think is doing that, like asking for it or whatever, is awful. Like that's not even a real person, because they don't know that really. Oftentimes, I mean, oftentimes they do know the person, but in these cases, they don't know each other personally at all. You know what I mean? So it's this fantasy that doesn't exist. This like weird, like, and I thought maybe they were
playing with that.
Yeah, a little bit. It was
yes, because all the men were trying to protect the women too, like the high school boys.
Right, and that's why,
but they couldn't. They all got killed right away.
Mm-hmm. It was
there was a lot of that, I think, and this whole idea of like being pure and preserving yourself for your husband, but that at a time when people were coupling up forever with their partners in the 80s, like they were leaving high school with their spouse.
Oh yeah, that happened a lot.
So that was like
often, right?
Like some of that concept, which isn't as common now, but it was very common then. Like that was the thing. So
more common, yeah.
Like that was there. Also, remember the neighbor? There was like this weird older man that like basically just entered the house at one point to check on something, and the like young teenage girl, like you have to like remind yourself that they're teenagers sometimes when you're watching this, because of the way that they look, obviously, but then also just like to understand the weird exchanges that are taking place where you're like, why is this man just in this house? Is that our dad? And then you watch the exchange and you're like, ew, like no, strange man, get out of here. You're the neighbor. My parents aren't home, and you knew I was going to be home, and so you unexpectedly stopped by, and then you're inviting me over later, and you keep on popping into my home. Like, weird, dude. Like, go jerk off. You do not belong. But I think that was just like another layer of that, like the disgusting, like creepiness factor. Like that there are these predators coming at every angle for all these beautiful girls.
Violations, right?
Yeah, it was very interesting. But I liked the first one because it was that like, it was fun, and there was a very clear storyline and ridiculousness.
Yeah, and enough like to think about as far as that stuff goes that we were just talking about. That it was like, it was fun and engaging and interesting. The second one.
The second one was insane.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
It was hard to watch.
It was so hard to watch. I couldn't wait for it to be done, but I couldn't look away. I needed to see how it ended and what was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it really, because there's not anything to talk about. Like,
oh my gosh, but if you're into that weird stuff, you have to watch it. Like, it is so bad, it's worth watching. Like, watch the first one, watch the second one.
It doesn't really make a ton of sense. I mean, it does kind of, but like...
Negative skulls.
At the same time, yeah, I mean, it's... At one point, there is, just to give you an idea, there is a, like, the serial killer, big bad guy, whatever, breaks out into song, and we listened to like a 2-minute.
Yes, a full song.
It was something.
And the song is all about like sex while he's hunting down a girl in a slasher scene. It was overdone. Like the first one I thought really captured those elements in a subtle way while still being a slasher film. Yeah. The second one was like maybe pulling from things that were popular too and just throwing it all in a haphazard way.
Yeah, great. I did see that the Slumber Party, the first one, looks like it was remade in 2021. I don't know if have we seen that? Do you know?
So I thought possibly.
I thought so too.
And we need to go back and check because I want to see and compare.
Yeah.
But definitely the original is worth seeing.
Yeah, it was cool.
But okay, the second one, the villain, the slasher, whatever, is a rocker. So he keeps appearing in dreams as a rocker, but also possibly a vampire. You're not really sure. He's got like weird teeth-looking fangs that you're like, are you a vamp? But he's a rock star.
Yeah, he's got an electric guitar.
Yeah, so he's dangerous, obviously. You need to lock your daughters up. And I feel like that was part of what they were like doing too, but it was so
I guess sort of
extreme. But the girls were also in a band, and we had to listen to at least 2 of their songs.
Yeah.
And that was also difficult to listen through.
It was weird how much of that it didn't feel like it was a natural part of this. It felt crammed in, like
everyone wanted an album out of it.
Yeah, I wonder if they were trying to push a soundtrack. Like I had that thought while I was watching the movie, because I was like, this is an abnormal amount of like. But it wasn't good at all. Like that was the thing. They were bad. Really bad songs. So bad. Like I don't know. I was confused by it. It didn't make me super happy because I'm like, this is really strange. Like
it was so bad, and it was hilarious to see the girls. You know, they're in their like very typical 80s outfits, and then they've got their guitars, and they're in a garage, and their hair is all big, and they're just like flopping around singing a terrible song and then like feeling so hot. Like one of the rich high school boys drives up in his nice car and sits on the hood to watch them, and it's like, yeah, these girls rock. Like, oh my god, it was so bad. It was fantastic. My favorite scene was when they all get together in Slumber Party 2 at the Slumber Party, and their favorite song comes on, so they all get up to dance. You know what I'm talking about. And they just start ripping off their tops and their bras, because that's what women do when they hear their favorite song. It probably was a song that their parents wouldn't let them listen to on the radio, but so then they're just, they're like shaking it and doing all these gestures after they just were drinking, champagne, and it was like a very phallic gesturing of like popping the champagne and spraying it everywhere and eating corn dogs, and just the way, like, everything about what they were eating everything about what they were eating and drinking and how they were acquiring it was done in the most obscene ways possible, like,
and ridiculous, like really, really far out
oh
there.
My god. And of course, yet again, boys are spying on them, so they're seeing this and they're like, oh boy, I gotta get these girls.
It was not unless you're looking for something that is purposely bad to laugh at, because we were making fun of it some while we were watching.
1,000%.
Like, what is going on? What?
Not scary.
No, not at all. Not
and
frightening.
The girls can never move the furniture out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
To get in both of them.
Yeah.
It's like they moved the furniture to block
There was
themselves,
a
and
couple
then
of
they
things like that they did like that where it was sort of just exactly the same thing that happened in the first one,
Yeah.
which was a little bit unsettling. Like what I don't even know what this is. Like that's so strange that it's borrowing. It almost was borrowing scenes like wholesale. Where it was like, oh wow, this series of events is happening again in the second film.
Yeah.
I kind of know what's going to happen then, I think, here, because, I don't know.
But then didn't.
Yeah. I mean, no, I guess not, but...
Also,
I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, it definitely is, like, negative skulls out of 5.
But maybe we're wrong, right? I mean, there's always that possibility that we missed something that would have put stuff together in a way that was like, oh, okay. And, like, I get it. The ending was pretty obvious, though, I thought, like, it was...
I don't know. Excuse my long yawn. I was confused because remember that rocker killer only kept showing up in her dreams for a while, but then, like, weird things were happening that piece was confusing.
It was a little bit confusing, but we figured it out like almost right away.
Yeah.
Right? We were, because we had floated the concept of that solution before that, and that's why I mean, like, oh, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it does help that we had seen the first one right before, basically, or whatever.
But we watched the first one and then immediately the second one.
Yeah. So that helps some for us to like have that knowledge and perception, but they don't always follow exactly what, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's no rules. It's just we're using the name, But I would say if you think you can make an argument that this was a good one, let me know, because I'm curious to hear how that is presented, because I didn't think it was really worth watching.
Also, something interesting is that there is a third one.
Supposedly, right?
Supposedly. We did not find it available to stream on any of our services, and we also have Shudder because you can get a lot of great quality horror on Shudder. So Shudder, if you want to partner up, let us know.
But I wonder if...
But supposedly there's a third, and you told me there was a third. I did not fact-check my skeleton boy.
It looks like...
Let us know. Is there a third of these slutty, slumbering girls?
Slumber part, yeah. Massacre 3, 1990, it says.
Oh my god, it just carried on for 10 years. And in the second one, you're not following the same characters, but you are supposedly following the younger sister.
Well, she was one of the characters in the first one.
She was one of the characters from the first one. None of the actors are the same.
No, right.
So,
but it is sort of a continuation situation.
Right, except then the ending is what, like, throws it all, where you're like, what the hell? Like, so I'm not even sure if we were actually following the youngest one then. I don't know. It was interesting. Weird.
Yeah, I don't know either.
If I can watch Slumber Party Massacre 3.
Yeah.
So, right? Party is in there?
Yeah.
I definitely will. Even though Slumber Party Massacre 2 was a negative skull. The slumber party scenes make it all worthwhile. And I'm curious what is going to happen. I can't even begin to fathom what the third one is like. I'm dying to know. Like,
yeah, I'd watch it. I'd watch the third one. Definitely.
Yeah. So, highly recommend.
The first one?
Highly recommend the first one. Fun, slasher, 80s, playful, not scary, not spooky, a little bit silly. Definitely some messaging.
Yeah.
And the second one is just if you want to watch something bad.
Yeah, something, that you can sort of laugh at. I mean,
Definitely
I'm sure they worked hard
that.
Putting it together. I feel bad saying it, but I didn't enjoy it,
I mean, if they're paying attention to this, then I want to know what the hell was happening. Like, what went on in the creation of Slumber Party Massacre 2?
Why the music is my question, I think. Why so much? Why? I don't know.
Why the music? Please tell me what inspired the Slumber Party scene. I need to know. It is like what every trope I feel like you've heard of when girls have slumber
that's what it
parties.
was, I think. Yeah, right.
But were those the same tropes in the 80s, and then, or did this movie inspire those tropes? Like, I don't know, but I just feel like
way too young in the 80s to know that.
I saw so many girls eating hot corn dogs on a stick and shaking their tits. Those never happened at my slumber parties. Did I miss out? I'm not sure.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks. Enjoy
See you next time.
your deep slumber, grave ghouls.